Sheriff Travis Cole did not start with speed, lane position, or tags. That was the problem. His cruiser was tucked behind a roadside billboard for an injury lawyer on Route 66, just outside Oak Haven County, Texas. The afternoon sun had the road shimmering. Heat sat low over the gravel shoulder. A few trucks rolled through every now and then. The rest of the highway was open. Marcus Bennett saw the lights come on in his mirror before he saw the cruiser pull all the way out. He checked the speedometer. 54 and a 55. He looked once at the road ahead, then once at the mirror again. No swerving, no missed line, no blown sign. He eased the midnight blue Chevelle onto the gravel shoulder, put it in park, shut the engine off, rolled the window down, and set both hands high on the wheel where they could be seen. That should have left room for one thing, a reason for the stop. If it stayed a clean traffic stop, Marcus would lose a few minutes and keep driving west. If it bent into something else, the price changed fast. Delay, search request, tow risk, storage fees, paperwork, a wedding in Phoenix getting closer while he stayed stuck on the side of a Texas road, explaining the same facts more than once. The Chevelle ticked in the heat as the engine cooled. Marcus had spent 3 years putting that car back together. Long weekends, late nights, parts, bought one paycheck at a time. He was taking it to his daughter's wedding because she had asked him to. She wanted him to arrive in the car she used to watch, sitting on jack stands in the garage. Sheriff Cole came up slow. Big man, broad through the middle, mirror shades, one hand near his belt, the other swinging loose. He stopped just behind the doorframe instead of coming straight to the window. He looked at Marcus first, then at the car, then back at Marcus. Afternoon, Cole said. Marcus kept his eyes forward. Afternoon. Sheriff. Cole took Marcus's sunglasses from the dash without asking and set them upside down on the hot hood. Then he looked through the open window again. Whose car is this? Not license and registration. Not do you know why I stopped you. Not even how fast were you going. Just that. Marcus kept both hands on the wheel. He looked through the windshield for a moment, then turned his head enough to answer. It's mine. Cole's jaw moved once like he was working gum. This yours? Yes. Sir. Cole leaned down a little farther. His reflection sat warped in the side glass. Title in your name. It is. You got it with you. In the glove box. If you need it. Cole did not ask Marcus to reach for it. He kept looking over the Chevelle like he was pricing it. White racing stripes. Clean chrome. New rubber on the tires. Paint deep enough to throw back the sun. He tapped 2 fingers once on the roof. That your weekend toy, he said. Or somebody let you borrow it for the trip. Marcus turned his head a little then. Not much. Just enough to look at the sheriff without moving his hands off the wheel. It's my car. Cole smiled. But there was nothing easy in it. That right. Marcus said nothing. Cars hissed by on the highway behind them. Gravel shifted under Cole's boots when he changed stance. The radio on his shoulder gave one short burst of static and went quiet again. Cole still had not said why Marcus had been stopped. That gap was getting expensive. Marcus said, calm and flat. If there's a traffic issue, I'd like to know what it is. Cole ignored that. How does a man like you pay for one of these? Marcus looked at the sunglasses still sitting on the hood. Then he looked back at the sheriff. I built it myself. Cole gave a short laugh. Sure you did. Marcus said nothing. Cole bent lower. His face came closer to the window line. You driving through Oak Haven in a car like this? Acting like I owe you an explanation. Marcus kept his voice even. I have not given you a reason to treat me like this. Cole's hand dropped to the snap on his holster. That attitude is your reason. Marcus did not move. The shoulder was quiet except for the wind and passing tires. Then he said the one thing that changed the stop. Respect has to be earned. Cole stepped back from the window. The look on his face did not change much. That made it worse. He opened the rear door of his cruiser, reached inside, and keyed his shoulder radio. His eyes stayed on Marcus the whole time. What had started as a roadside stop was shifting into something else now. Not because of speed. Not because of a plate. Because one man at the window had decided the stop did not have to stay clean on paper. Step out of the car, Cole said. Marcus looked once at the empty road ahead, then at the hot hood with his sunglasses on it, then at the sheriff. He knew what the next few minutes could cost. Marcus stepped out when Travis Cole told him to. The sunglasses stayed on the hood. Cole told him to turn around. Marcus did. His hands went behind his back. The cuffs went on tight enough to matter later. Cole did not explain the stop before he moved to the next step. He talked into his shoulder radio and gave the county road marker instead. Male subject detained. Bringing him in. Marcus stood beside the Chevelle and looked once toward the driver door. The title was still in the glove box. Nothing had been checked. A second unit did not come. Cole walked into the cruiser alone. The drive into Oak Haven took a little under 20 minutes. Marcus sat in the back and kept his shoulders square against the seat. Route signs slid past the window. A feed store. A church sign with missing letters. 2 gas pumps under a flat metal awning. Then the county building came into view. Cole parked by the side entrance. Marcus got out when told. Inside. The booking desk was straight ahead. Deputy Evan Mills stood by the fingerprint machine. Sergeant Lisa Porter sat behind the desk with a keyboard pulled close. Cole brought Marcus to the counter and set a clear evidence tray down with more force than needed. Disorderly conduct, he said. Resisting. Lisa looked up from the screen. What was the original stop? Cole took his hat off and set it on the counter. Vehicle issue. Marcus looked at Lisa. There was no vehicle issue stated at the roadside. Cole did not turn toward him. Empty your pockets. Marcus placed his wallet on the counter first, then his phone, then his keys. A folded receipt came out with the keys. He set that aside and pushed the wallet closer to Lisa. My military identification card is behind my driver's license, he said. Please note that before you log my property. Lisa moved her hand toward the wallet. Cole took it first. Not fast. Just first. I'll handle property. Marcus kept his eyes on the wallet. The card is directly behind the license. Lisa looked from Marcus to Cole. If there is a second form of identification, I should log it. Cole opened a plastic evidence bag with both hands. He can make claims later. Marcus did not raise his voice. It is not a claim. It is in the wallet. You can verify it now. That was the clean place to fix it. The wallet was still on the counter. Lisa was close enough to open it. Evan was standing there. The desk camera was mounted above the monitor. The whole step was available. Cole slid the wallet into the bag without opening it. The plastic crackled under his hands. He pressed the seal shut. Then he took a black marker from the pen cup and wrote across the front, "Unknown military claim." Lisa looked at the bag after he wrote it. She did not touch it again. Marcus watched the letters go down one by one. That needs to be corrected before it leaves this desk, he said. Cole pushed the bag into the tray. If it matters, it will matter later. Evan shifted his weight and looked toward Lisa. Lisa looked back at her screen. What time was the stop? She asked. Cole gave the time. What basis for resisting? He would not follow the tone of the stop. Lisa's fingers stopped over the keyboard. Then they started again. Marcus turned his head toward her. Please note that I asked for the reason for the stop and was not given one. Lisa typed something. Not enough for him to see. Evan stepped closer to the fingerprint machine. Prints. Cole gave a short nod. Marcus placed his hand where Evan pointed. One finger at a time. Then the other hand. Evan worked carefully. He did not say much. Lisa printed the property sheet and kept it by her elbow. Marcus looked at the phone on the desk. I want my call logged now. Cole leaned one hand on the counter. You get the next step when I say you get it. Marcus said nothing after that. Lisa took the property tray and slid it to the back shelf. The wallet went with it. Still sealed. Still unchecked. Still marked with words written by a man who had not looked inside. Cole picked the cuffs at Marcus's wrists and turned him toward the hallway. Cell 1. Evan opened the gate. Marcus walked when told. He passed a bulletin board, a copier, and a half-open supply closet. At the end of the short hall, Evan opened the holding cell. Marcus stepped in. Cole stayed outside the bars. You should have kept your mouth shut on the highway. Marcus turned and faced him. What I said at the desk is on your camera now. Cole looked past him into the cell, then back at Marcus. The door shut. The lock caught. Marcus sat on the metal bench and looked down at his hands for a moment. The line had already been crossed. Not on the shoulder. At the desk, where the card could have been checked and was not. Marcus sat on the metal bench and waited until the footsteps moved back down the hall. Then he looked at his wrists. The cuffs had left raised lines. He rolled one sleeve back a little and checked the watch Travis Cole had not taken at the desk. It was still there. Plain black face. Steel case. Worn band. Not the kind of thing that pulled attention in a county station. Marcus turned the bezel once. Then he used his thumb to loosen a small cap on the side. A thin piece lifted free. He held it there for a second, put it back against the case, and rolled his sleeve down again. Nothing in the cell changed. The bench stayed where it was. The overhead light stayed on. The lock stayed shut. Marcus sat with both hands together and looked at the door. Out front, Travis took Marcus's duffel from the property shelf and dropped it onto the booking counter. Lisa Porter looked up from her screen. That logged yet? She asked. Travis pulled the zipper open. It is now. Evan Mills was still by the print station. Wiping the glass with a folded paper towel, Travis started going through the bag, one item at a time. 2 shirts, a shaving kit, a belt, a garment pouch. He held up a tie between 2 fingers and let it fall back into the pile. Then he found the velvet case. Dark blue, hard edge, small enough to fit in one hand. He turned it over once. No store logo. No tag. Lisa watched him from behind the keyboard. That should stay with personal property until inventory is done, she said. Travis ignored that. He opened the case. The room changed without anybody saying much. Evan stopped wiping the glass. Lisa pushed her chair back a few inches. Inside the case sat 3 medals in fitted black lining. 1 silver star. 1 purple heart. 1 bronze star with a device on the ribbon. A folded document sat underneath them. Travis looked at the medals first, then at the paper, then back at the medals again. He did not touch the paper right away. Lisa stood up and walked around the side of the desk. Let me see that. Travis kept the case in his hand. It's just old service stuff. Lisa reached anyway. He let go of it a second later than he needed to. She set the case on the counter and unfolded the paper carefully. The paper had been folded in thirds and kept flat long enough to hold the lines. She read the first few lines without speaking. Then she started again from the top. Evan stepped closer. What is it? Lisa did not answer him first. She looked down the hallway toward the holding cells. Then she looked at the back shelf, where the sealed wallet still sat in the evidence tray. The black marker line was still easy to read through the plastic. Unknown military claim. Lisa walked to the shelf and picked the bag up. Travis turned toward her. Leave that alone. She held the bag by the top seam and looked through the plastic. Then she set it back on the counter beside the open case. You marked this without checking it. Travis put both hands on his hips. He was talking. He told you exactly where the card was. Travis did not answer that. Evan looked from the bag to the medals. Should I reopen the property log? Lisa unfolded the paper all the way this time. The page was thick stock with a raised seal near the bottom. The name sat clear in the middle. Marcus Bennett. Below it sat a line listing his retired rank. Below that sat a unit name Travis read twice without saying out loud. Lisa set the paper beside the sealed wallet. Then she took a pen and tapped the evidence bag once. This needs to be corrected before it goes any farther. Travis reached for the bag. Lisa moved it closer to her side of the counter. That desk camera has all of it, she said. Him telling you where the card was. You sealing it. You writing on it. Travis looked up toward the camera mounted near the monitor. He looked away again just as fast. That doesn't change the roadside stop. Lisa did not take the bait. It changes the property record. Evan picked up the inventory sheet Lisa had printed earlier. He scanned down the list and found the line for the wallet. No second identification listed. No note that it had been checked. Just wallet. Travis pulled the duffel closer to himself and started stuffing the clothes back in. Too fast now. Not neat. The zipper caught on the edge once. He jerked it loose and kept going. Lisa stayed where she was. The medals remained open on the counter. The paper stayed flat beside them. The sealed wallet stayed between both of those things like it belonged there. Then the desk phone rang. Nobody moved right away. It rang again. Lisa looked at the number on the small screen. Then she looked at Travis. Then back at the medals. Evan stopped with the inventory sheet still in his hand. Lisa picked up the receiver. Oak Haven Sheriff's Office, she said. She listened without speaking. Then she straightened in place and covered the phone with her hand. It's for the sheriff, she said. Travis held his hand out. Lisa did not pass it over yet. Who is it? He asked. She looked at him. General Scott Avery. Travis took one step toward the desk. The medals were still open. The wallet was still sealed. The marker line was still showing through the plastic. Lisa held the receiver out. Travis took it and put it to his ear. His other hand stayed on the counter near the sealed wallet. This is Sheriff Cole. He listened. Lisa stayed by the desk. Evan still had the inventory sheet in one hand. The velvet case remained open between them. Marcus sat down the hall with the cell door shut. He could not see the front desk, but he could hear the shape of the station changing. A chair scraped once across the floor. Someone stopped walking. Then the front desk went quiet long enough to matter. Travis spoke again. He was detained after a roadside stop. He listened. His jaw moved once. No. Sir. He is secure. Another pause. Lisa looked at the small desk camera above the monitor. Evan looked at the sealed wallet. Travis turned away from them while he listened. But he did not go far. He stayed close enough to keep one hand on the counter. I have not confirmed that yet, he said. That line stayed in the air for a moment. It did not help him. The voice on the phone kept going. Travis shifted his weight, looked toward the hall. Then back at the counter. The medals were still open. The paper with Marcus Bennett's name on it was still lying flat. The words on the evidence bag were still facing up. Unknown military claim, Travis said. We are still sorting identification. He listened again. His fingers left the counter. Then he put the receiver back in its cradle harder than needed. Nobody at the desk spoke first. Lisa broke it. What did he say? Travis took his hat off the counter and put it back on. He said somebody from Dallas is coming. Lisa did not move. For what? He says legal counsel is on the way. Evan lowered the inventory sheet. Lisa looked at the sealed wallet again. That bag needs to be reopened. Travis reached for the velvet case and shut it. No. He told you where the card was. I heard him. And you wrote over the bag before checking it. Travis picked up the duffel and pushed the medals case inside with the rest of the clothes. He zipped it shut. Then he looked at Evan. Run the vehicle again. Evan did not move right away. It already came back clean. Run it again. Evan turned to the computer. Lisa stayed where she was. What are you trying to fix here? Travis. He did not answer that. He took the keys from the property tray, separated the Chevelle key from the ring, and headed for the side door. Lisa stepped out from behind the desk. You need to log that before you touch the vehicle again. Travis kept walking. It's still part of the stop. The side door shut behind him. Outside. The heat was still up over the lot. Marcus's Chevelle sat where Travis had left it. Driver side facing the building. Nose toward the chain-link fence. Travis walked straight to the passenger side and unlocked the door. Inside the station. Lisa moved to the hallway and stopped outside cell 1. Marcus stood when he saw her shadow cut across the floor. What changed? He asked. Lisa kept her voice low. Someone called for you. Marcus looked at her through the bars. Was the wallet opened? She did not answer that question first. Is there anything else in your bag I need to know about? My service medals. Marcus said. And the citation paper under them. Lisa gave one short nod and went back toward the front. Outside. Travis leaned into the passenger side of the Chevelle. He checked the glove box. Then the console. Then under the seat. He moved fast now. Not careful. Just fast. A folded road map slid onto the floorboard. A motel receipt slipped out from the visor. He opened the trunk. Spare tire. Jack. Tool roll. Nothing else. He stood there a second, looking into the trunk. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, clear bag. He kept it low by his thigh. At the sidewalk beyond the fence, an older man had stopped with a dog on a short leash. He wore work boots, tan pants, and a faded feed store cap. He looked through the fence and said, You doing another inventory after the tow order? Travis. Travis closed his hand around the bag and turned. There is no tow order. The man looked at the open passenger door, then at the trunk, then at Travis's closed fist. Then that car ought to stay the way it came in. Travis walked toward the fence a few steps. This is county property. Keep moving. The man did not step closer. I'm on the public walk. His dog stood still beside him. Inside the station. Lisa saw them through the front window. She stepped to the desk, picked up the phone, and dialed the county dispatcher line. What are you doing? Evan asked. She kept her eyes on the lot, starting a timestamp. Outside. Travis looked back at the cruiser, then at the Chevelle, then at the man on the sidewalk. He put the small, clear bag back in his pocket. The older man watched him do it. Travis shut the trunk, then the passenger door. He looked once toward the station window and saw Lisa standing there with the phone to her ear. He went back inside without the key in his hand. At the desk. Lisa set the phone down. I just logged that you re-entered the vehicle after the call. Travis took his hat off again and slapped it onto the counter. Evan stood up from the computer. The sealed wallet was still there between them. Nothing about it had been fixed. Travis came back through the side door with empty hands. Lisa was still at the desk. Evan was still at the computer. The sealed wallet sat between them where Travis had left it. Nothing about it had changed. Evan looked at the screen and ran the vehicle a second time. Same plate. Same title status. Same owner record. He read it once to himself. Then once out loud, registered to Marcus Bennett. He scrolled down. Co-registered through Summit Ridge Security Holdings. Travis pulled his chair out with one hand and sat down hard. What is that? Evan kept reading. Texas filing. Active. Business address in Arlington, Virginia. Lisa turned from the desk camera monitor and looked at Travis. That car is clean. Travis did not answer her. He held one hand out. Evan passed him the printout. Travis read the page. Then he read the company name again. The desk printer started up behind Lisa. One page came through. Then another. Lisa picked up the first sheet and looked at the header. County Administration. She read the first lines without speaking. Then she put the page flat on the counter so both men could see it. The message was short. County Commissioner Alan Mercer was asking for immediate status on a detainee named Marcus Bennett. The note said the inquiry had been pushed down from the governor's office. It also asked whether identity had been confirmed and whether outside counsel had been notified. Evan looked at the sealed wallet. Lisa looked at Travis. That question has an easy answer if you open the bag. Travis folded the printout from Evan once and set it beside his hat. We are not reopening evidence because somebody made a phone call. Lisa tapped the email with one finger. It is not one phone call anymore. Travis stood up again. He looked toward the hallway. Then back at the counter. Bring him to interview. Lisa stayed still. For what? I'm going to clear this up. She looked at the sealed wallet again. That starts there. Travis picked up a blank form from the side tray. The title across the top was Release of Liability. It was a standard county form. One page. Signature line at the bottom. Witness line under that. Lisa saw the form and did not reach for it. You want him to sign that before the property log is corrected. Travis slid the paper onto a clipboard. I want this stop closed. Evan looked toward the hall. Then at Lisa. Then back at Travis. Nobody's going to sign that if the card is still in the bag. Travis clipped a pen to the board. Opened the cell. A minute later, Marcus was brought from cell 1 to the interview room at the back. The cuffs stayed on. One wrist to the ring fixed to the table. The room did not need much in it. Table. 3 chairs. Wall camera. Observation glass dark on the other side. Marcus sat down when Evan pointed. Lisa did not come in. She stayed at the desk with the email and the sealed wallet. Travis entered alone and set the clipboard on the table. Marcus looked at it. Then at Travis. The sheriff sat across from him. He placed both forearms on the table and pushed the board forward. This gets you back on the road tonight. Marcus read the top line. Then the body. No complaints against the county. No claim of improper treatment. No dispute over property handling. No future action. He let the page sit where it was. My wallet is still sealed, he said. Travis leaned back. We can work through that. You can fix it now. Travis shook his head once. I'm offering you a clean exit. Marcus looked at the paper again. Then, at the camera in the corner, that is not a clean exit. Travis tapped the bottom line of the form. You sign. I release the hold. Return the car. And this stays local. Marcus kept his voice level. It stopped being local when you sealed identification without checking it. Travis did not touch the clipboard after that. He sat there with both hands flat on the table. The wall camera stayed on. Out front, Lisa pulled up the room feed on her monitor. No sound on that view. Just picture. Marcus at the table. Travis across from him. Clipboard between them. Evan stood by the edge of the desk and watched the screen. Then the front door opened. A man in a dark suit came in, carrying a leather case and a folded order packet. Mid-40s. Clean haircut. No county badge. He stopped at the desk and set a business card down in front of Lisa. Daniel Cross, he said. Counsel for Marcus Bennett. Lisa looked at the card, then at the court order he placed beside it. Federal District seal at the top. She looked through the open doorway toward the back hall. Evan already had the key ring in his hand. The sealed wallet was still on the counter. The marker line still showed through the plastic. Unknown military claim. Lisa picked up the order packet and read the first page standing at the desk. Then she looked at Evan. Open the room. Evan was already moving. Daniel Cross took his card back and followed him down the hall without hurrying. He carried the leather case in one hand and the order packet in the other. He did not ask for directions twice. At the interview room, Evan unlocked the door and stepped aside. Travis was still seated across from Marcus. The clipboard was still on the table between them. Daniel entered, set the court order down beside the waiver, and turned it so Travis could read it from his chair. Daniel Cross, he said. I represent Marcus Bennett. Travis looked at the seal first, then the signature line, then back at Daniel. This is still an active stop. Daniel did not sit down. This order requires immediate release, full return of personal property, and preservation of all recorded material tied to the stop. The booking desk, this room, the lot, and the patrol unit. Marcus stayed where he was, one wrist still fixed to the table ring. Daniel looked at the cuff. Take that off. Travis did not move. Evan stood in the doorway with the keys already in hand. He looked at Travis once, then at the order. Then he stepped in and unlocked the cuff without waiting for another instruction. Marcus pulled his hand back and rested both hands on the table. The skin around one wrist showed a clear line where the metal had sat. Daniel opened his case, took out his phone, and held it over the table. One picture from this side, he said, then one from the other side. Marcus turned his wrist when asked. No more than that. Travis stood up. You're making this into more than it is. Daniel kept his phone in his hand. You sealed identification without checking it. You held him after being told where that identification was. You presented a waiver while that record was still wrong. Travis reached for the clipboard. Daniel put his hand on it first. That stays. For a second. Neither man moved it. Then Travis let go. Out of the desk. Lisa pulled the sealed wallet from the property tray and laid it beside the medals case. She called up the booking camera feed. Then she pulled the timestamp from the property log. The line for the wallet was still short. Wallet. No second identification listed. No note that it had been checked. Daniel and Marcus came back to the desk with Evan a few steps behind them. Travis came last. Marcus stopped when he saw the evidence bag on the counter. Lisa held it up by the sealed edge. I'm reopening this in front of the camera. Nobody objected. She cut the seal with a letter opener, tipped the wallet into the tray, and opened it flat. Driver's license in the first slot. Military identification card directly behind it. Exactly where Marcus had said it was. Lisa picked up the marker and drew one line through the words on the bag. Unknown military claim. Then she wrote a new note under it. Verified at desk after sealed intake. Daniel looked at the desk camera. Save that clip. Lisa gave one short nod. Evan brought Marcus's phone, keys, and watched paperwork from the shelf. The medals case stayed open on the counter. Daniel touched the folded citation paper once with 2 fingers, then left it where it was. Travis looked at the bag, the card, the camera, and the open case. Then he looked toward the side door. Daniel saw that. So did I, he said. Travis went for the side exit anyway. He moved fast through the lot, crossed to the patrol unit, and opened the driver door. The hard drive mattered now. So did the unit video buffer. He leaned in, then stopped. Two dark SUVs had already pulled across the far end of the lot. A county vehicle sat behind them. The exit lane was closed off without anyone saying much about it. A woman in a plain jacket stepped out of the lead SUV and held up credentials at chest level. "Claire Dalton," she said. "State Investigative Office." She did not raise her voice. "You need to step away from the unit." Travis stayed by the open door. "That is county property." Claire looked at the patrol car, then at the station door behind him. "Good," she said. "Then the chain of custody stays simple." At the doorway, Lisa stood with Daniel and Marcus behind her. Evan had the property log in one hand, the reopened evidence bag in the other. Marcus held his keys now. Nothing else. Daniel looked at Claire and lifted the court order high enough for her to see the seal. She did not need to walk over to read it. She only needed one glance. Then she looked back at Travis. "You're done touching that vehicle." Travis let the driver door swing shut on its own. No one at the station followed him into the lot. Nobody had to. The room had already changed hands. By sunset, Marcus Bennett's stop was no longer sitting in one county file. The roadside footage, the booking desk camera, the interview room video, the reopened property bag, the vehicle log, and Lisa Porter's dispatcher timestamp were all pulled into one record. The line that kept coming up was small. It sat at the booking desk. Marcus had said where the second identification card was. He had said it clearly. The wallet had been on the counter. Lisa had reached for it. Travis Cole sealed it first. Then he wrote on the bag before checking it. Everything that came after had to sit next to that. The vehicle return came back clean twice. The owner record matched Marcus. The medals matched the name in the wallet. The waiver was presented while the wrong note still sat on the bag. The patrol unit was approached again after the outside call came in. Those pieces stayed in order. They did not need much help. Daniel Cross filed notice that same night. The county responded before morning. Marcus's property was released in full. The Chevelle was returned with the key log attached. A second inventory sheet was added. Lisa Porter's correction on the evidence bag stayed in the file. So did the original writing under the black line. By the next business day, the stop also had a federal preservation notice attached to it. That notice kept the roadside video, desk footage, room footage, and patrol unit data from being cleared on the county's normal cycle. For the next few weeks, Oak Haven stopped being a place where Travis Cole could manage the story by himself. State investigators took the patrol unit data. The county took the property chain. Federal counsel kept the interview room clip and the waiver. The governor's office requested a status report. The county commissioner requested a second one. The review did not stay limited to Marcus Bennett. Older stops started coming back up. Wallets logged without full inventory. Vehicle holds with thin paperwork. Property sheets with short descriptions and missing follow-up notes. A small stack became a larger one. Then it became a separate review track. Travis Cole's name stopped appearing on the active duty schedule. His access changed first. Then his role changed. Then his county access card stopped opening the evidence room and the interview hall. Then his county email account was locked. Then his call sign disappeared from the patrol board. Then the unit number usually assigned to him was moved to another deputy. Then his county personnel file was flagged for outside review. The county insurer opened a liability file tied to Marcus Bennett's stop. The projected payout on that file was raised more than once before it closed. That file did not close quickly. The civil matter ended in a settlement the county could not explain away as a simple misunderstanding. Marcus did not turn that into a press tour. He signed what he had to sign. He answered what he had to answer. Then he put the money into a legal defense fund for veterans who got pulled into bad local paperwork and did not have the right call waiting for them on the other end. That choice made its own record. 3 months later, The Oak Haven file was still moving. One set of records dealt with Marcus. Another dealt with Travis Cole. Another dealt with prior stops now being reopened one by one. The county adopted a new intake rule after that. If a detained person identified a second form of government identification at booking, the card had to be checked on camera before the wallet could be sealed into property. The rule sat in writing. It had a date on it. It had signatures under it. It existed because one step had been skipped while the camera was running. Marcus still made it to Phoenix. Later than planned. Not in time for the full drive he had wanted. But he made it. The Chevelle was cleaned before it was released. The sunglasses Travis had set on the hood were back in the console. The title was still in the glove box where Marcus had said it was from the start. At the wedding, he wore a dark suit and kept his remarks short. He did not talk about Oak Haven from the microphone. He did not need to. A year later, another update reached him by email. Several older convictions tied to Travis Cole's roadside work had been pulled for review. Some were vacated. Some were sent back for new hearings. Some stayed open. The point was not that every wrong thing got fixed at once. The point was that the file did not stay buried. That part held. Travis Cole had started that stop like the paper would bend around whatever he said. It did not. One sealed wallet. One wrong note. One waiver set on a table too late. That was enough. Marcus Bennett got back on the road. The rest stayed behind in the record. If this one stayed with you, put your take in the comments. Would the stop have ended at the roadside if that wallet had been opened when Marcus first pointed to it? Share this with someone who notices the small step that changes the whole file. Subscribe to Black Tales Exposed for more stories where the record tells the story better than the badge does.